Okay.
All right, so we're joined all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, by Dr. Tedra Smith, mental health counselor. We thank you so much for joining us today. We are virtual, but I've still got a class with me from Velma Jackson High School, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County Schools: Rosa Scott, Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. We're in the Human Services Career Cluster, which mental health counseling is such a huge part of and such a fast growing field. So we thank you so much for taking some time for us today.
No problem.
Now, before we get into all it is that you do and the things that you are constantly seeing and some of the things that somebody would need to know, you are from Mississippi, went to Jackson State, got 2 degrees from Jackson State. So tell us about your experience at Jackson State and those programs of social work and mental health counseling there.
Okay. So definitely I graduated in 2005 with my bachelor's degree in social work. I was kind of hesitant, didn't know if I wanted to do my master's in social work. So, because I like social work, but I was loving counseling as well. So I said, well, I'm going to do my master's in counseling. So that's what I did. I graduated, got my social work degree. The program was great. No complaints there. All of the teachers were good. No issues. Like everybody was supportive. It was really, really good. I'm sorry, y'all. My dog is whining. It's raining here, so it's terrible.
That's not the
But
first time that's happened.
yeah, like I don't know what's going on over here. I'm like trying to see what he's doing. But anyway, um, I decided I should have gone back and got my master's sooner, but I waited. I had 2 kids and got married, and it was just like, yeah, I don't know if I want to go back. But I knew I needed to go back. So I went back in 20, I graduated in 2017. So I think I started in, took me about 2 years. So 2015, I started back up. I went and got my master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. Great program. Jackson State did that again. Everybody was wonderful. No issues. So yeah, here I am now. I've been in Georgia since 2017 after I graduated, and I've been here ever since.
That's awesome. Now, you said you got your bachelor's in social work. So obviously, if somebody doesn't want to go to school for a long time or a longer time to be a counselor, there are great careers you can get with that bachelor's of social work. And I know
Oh
Jackson State
yeah.
program's great, Mississippi College, Ole Miss, all have great social work programs. So what are some of the fields that you worked in? Because obviously you worked with that bachelor's degree for a while that
Mm-hmm.
somebody could start working in right out of college.
Right. So group homes, they are wonderful. I was scared to go into the group home setting because I'm short and I was just feeling like, oh my gosh, these kids are not going to respect me. They're going to be like running over me. It was the total opposite. I actually came in under my bachelor's degree. It was wonderful working with those teenagers. Of course, they were troubled teens, going through a lot of different things in their lives. They were in that group home setting for, it just really didn't, until their family actually could get them back. Some didn't go back home. Um, so I became like the big sister, not so much of them feeling like I was like trying to, run them or anything, but they looked up to me like a big sister. So a lot of them would confide in me. That was a really, really good experience. I did it overnight, so that was an experience all by itself. But it was wonderful. I used to have to give them their medication before they went to school. I would talk to them and tell them don't go to school and act up. It was wonderful. Like it was really, really a good experience while I was trying to get my master's degree. So yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, and
I
also in
also did.
schools, and then also there's also clinical social workers.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, yes. I thought about doing clinical social work because like I wanted to like go into like the hospital setting. In my mind, I was thinking, oh, that would be perfect. But I didn't do it. Although I still sometimes regret that. But again, my master's has been wonderful with my counseling because it all ties in together. Um, you need counseling if you're dealing with any type of social work concern. Counseling is gonna come in like at some point. So yeah, it all kind of ties in together. So whichever way you go, even if you decide to just get your bachelor's degree, you will get a job. I can promise you that. It's a need for women and men in this field.
Yeah, and it really take, and I'm glad you mentioned about some of the things that you thought you would see. It really takes somebody that's really, really wanting to make a difference and wanting to listen and make change.
Oh yeah,
Because especially here in Mississippi, there is a big need for these professionals. Something I'm very passionate about is, or people coming out of prison that need help reforming. They're under a lot of mental stress. They've served their sentence. They want to get into society and work. They need good social workers as they're finishing up their sentence and getting into the civilian life to be able to
right.
adjust, because it is a huge adjustment.
It is. It really, really is. I'll tell anybody if your mental health is not right, if just you got to take care of yourself. Like it is a need. It doesn't matter who you are. I think we all need to do self check-ins on ourselves. We need to ensure that we are healthy in our mind because again, if you everything you do starts with your mind. Like wake up in the morning, it's okay. How am I feeling today? Am I good? Am I sad? Am I depressed? Am I dealing with some anxiety? That's every day for everybody. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, social work was my first love. I will never tell a soul that I don't love social work. I love it. You have to have a compassion for people to be in this field. We don't always get the money we deserve, but it comes, you get other rewards. You know what I'm saying? Like the money will come. It may not be right off, but you will get it. And the rewards of helping somebody that's in need, that needs you to just have compassion and empathy is like money can't buy that. It's a wonderful, wonderful feeling.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned too, because I have a lot of kids say they want to get into similar fields, that makes me happy because they're needed. But then they get nervous or scared when we ask them to give a presentation. Being able to speak and listen and communicate is such a big part of this field, no matter what area in it you are. So, talk about why you need those communication skills in this field.
Yes. Yes. So with this field, and just with the job that I do now, so I work at a crisis line, you guys, and that crisis line is almost like a 911 dispatch. Like we get calls before 911. Like we literally have to send them back to 911 sometimes because it's just out of our scope. Um, you have to be able to communicate. That's like number one. If you don't communicate, don't know how to communicate, please don't get into this field because your tone, your attitude, your disposition means everything in this field. Um, if people feel like they can't talk to you, they won't tell you anything. They will shut down. Like I have had people that I have come face to face with and they immediately gravitate to me and I'm like, what did I do? And then I get like a report from my supervisor and they're like, the way you talk to them, the way you show compassion for them, they felt like they knew you forever. That matters. So if you're gonna go into this field, just make sure that you are able to do that. And if not, then it's okay to take other routes and still be in this field, but you can just be in the background, doing the work because you got to have that tone. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to show them that you care. And it does get draining. I will tell you that I will never lie. Taking on other people's concern, it can be very, very tough. But trust me, you will get the reward. When you save a life or you are keeping someone from ending their lives, like there's no greater feeling. I get commended all the time from my job for saving a life. Like somebody's calling in to me and they're like, I'm about to end it all. And I just switch it up, like just talking to them, listening to them. If you can't listen to them, it's a no-go. You got to be able to listen. You got to be able to understand that they don't have support. So you are their support. So when I get on my job, it's like I'm trying to save a life every single day that I get to work. Every single day.
That's awesome. Now, and another thing is you're working with the client, you're working with the patient, but you also got to be able to work with their family because everybody's parents are not, or siblings are not a mental health expert. So you've got to explain to them ways that they can work with these clients while you're not with them. So talk about having to relate to everybody because sometimes people
Yeah.
may not have any idea what you're talking about.
Right. So dealing with families, pulling them in to be able to help the person that is dealing with some concerns, that can be easy and that can be hard because I think a lot of times we all kind of think about our culture and what we've, been accustomed to, and mental illness or needing help means you're crazy. I've heard that so many times, and that's like so far from the truth. Please don't believe that stigma because that's so far from the truth. But what I will say, pulling in parents sometimes, it could be easy because sometimes what I have to do is listen to that parent to know the things that they have been dealing with that child or whoever. It could be anybody. And then I give them ways to deal with that person. Just with my background of experience with different things, if a person is depressed, not eating, and just, isolating themselves, I try to tell them ways like, hey, you may have to talk to them, check in with them every single day. Like, no matter if they seem like they're having a good day, check in with them, say, hey, what happened today? What's going on? Did anything happen that I need to know about? That communication is just like 100. That's just what you got to do, because we hide things because we don't think people will understand us. So I have to let moms know, like, I know we try to come from a mother perspective with a lot of things with our kids, but sometimes you have to go a different route to get them to communicate to you exactly what they need.
Yeah.
Listening to their concerns is just like number one. You got to be able to listen. I tell my parents all the time, stop fussing. You got to listen. And you can still be firm with what you're saying, but it's the way you say it that helps a lot. So if you're not going to say it in the right way, wait till you calm down. I tell my parents all the time, wait till you calm down, or tell the siblings, try to come a different way to help a situation with a person that's going through a mental health concern. Yeah.
Yeah, and no, one other thing, and I'm about to get to the students' questions too, but one thing I wanted to hit on is that we have a lot of bilingual students in our district. We have a lot of first generation Americans. The need for bilingual counselors has never been greater than it is now. And that also includes counselors that speak ASL sign language. Because that has also been a big deal in the hearing impaired community is that they didn't have anybody to communicate with. So how important is it for anybody that's already bilingual or to learn another language to be in this field because that's going to demand you make more money?
Yes. Yes. I wish, let me tell you guys, I wish 1,000 times, sometimes when I'm on the line with people and they need the language line, I wish that I could communicate with them because what I'm doing at that point is I'm going through a third person to communicate what I'm trying to say to them. And that can become very, very frustrating, not just for me, but for them as well. So when you guys get in your language classes, please listen, because you will make way more money. I can tell you that it's the need for bilingual um, counselors, social workers, really in everywhere. Honestly, you're gonna make that money. So please listen, because the money will be there. I can promise you that they will pay you. My company that I work for right now, we have a language line. We have to call that line every time somebody calls in and need a Spanish speaking counselor. Um, like I said, that can be frustrating. Like when they call in, they're in crisis. They don't want to go through all that extra, you know, but we have to do what we have to do to be able to help them. So, yes, the money is there. You get paid way more if you're bilingual. At my company, I believe it's like $6 or $7 more. And that's a big deal. I promise you
Yeah,
that.
$6 or $7 an hour may not seem like a big deal until it starts hitting your paycheck.
Okay. Yes. So if somebody's making $23 versus you got $7 added because you know Spanish, yeah, like you can't beat that. You can't beat it.
And yeah, and that's why I said, we have a lot of English as second language students in our district, and I would really encourage them to look into this field because there's
Yes.
more immigrants coming to this country every day, and everybody needs help. And it's not,
Mhm.
and I'm glad you mentioned that too. Mental health crisis does not discriminate. It does not
No,
discriminate gender. It does not discriminate race. Every single person
no.
at some point is going to need help, and there needs to be people
Every
to help all those people, no matter who they are.
That is so true. Yes, yes. It does not matter about race. I don't even think about it when people call me or I do face to face. I don't care what race you are, you need help. It doesn't matter. It hits everybody at some point.
Absolutely. Well, I do have some questions from the students, and I got some really good ones here. This
Okay.
first one is Precious Willis. She's in ninth grade, member of our volleyball team here at Velma Jackson. And she
Okay.
asks, as a therapist, do you go to therapy yourself?
Oh, that's a good question. I Let me tell you. So lately I have been thinking about going simply because we have been dealing with a lot of suicidal concerns and it really weighs on me. They have offered to pay for us to go. So I
Wow.
am going to take advantage of that because I think it's needed, even though I've been in this field for a while and I do know how to cope pretty good, but it's always good to for me to check on me because I'm always checking on someone else and I'm always helping someone else. So yes, that is a very good question, and I am planning to do that. I'm probably this summer. I'm gonna go ahead and start getting something going, even if I just have to do it once a month to
Yeah,
just kind of check in on me, where I can just release some things in regard. Yes, that's a good question, and I will definitely be doing that because I need to.
that's awesome. This is Ashton Job. He's in ninth grade, and he asked, when you were growing up, did you see yourself working in this field, or did you have dreams to do something else?
Always. So, Ashton, let me tell you, my mom said even when I was a little girl, I was always helping somebody or always being that listening ear. So, I believe it really started from a little girl on to now. So, it has always been in me. I knew when I went to Jackson State, I was going to do social work. Like, it wasn't a thought in my mind. I knew I wanted to do that because I've always been that helping type person. So, yeah, it's been there. It's been there a long time.
Something I forgot to mention, as far as Masters of Social Work, Jackson State famously has the 1 year program for Masters of Social Work. And I know
Mm-hmm.
several people that have taken advantage of that and said it is very convenient and said it's fast paced, but they said they had their undergrad and they were Masters of Social Work and they were done in a year. So that
A
is
year
I forgot all
work.
about that. That is the only one in
Yep.
Mississippi.
They did that after I graduated. I was like, oh oh my gosh, I wish I could have gotten that 1 year thing, but it was okay. It still was okay. But I promise you, you won't regret it. You know, if you do decide to go there or anywhere else, like you will do fine. I mean, it's a good field, honestly. And you learn a lot. You learn a lot.
Absolutely. This is Alonzo Green. He's in ninth grade, member of our band as well. And he
Mm-hmm.
asked, what do you use to measure the progress of how your clients are improving?
Well, it's the way they communicate with me. So usually, if we're doing face to face, you're gonna see a difference in those clients. It is kind of harder when I do it over the phone because a lot of times people do want telehealth. Um, so it can be kind of hard, but you kind of know with their attitude, the way they talk from the beginning of them coming in to see me versus them getting the help that they need and start to get the therapy on a regular basis. You'll see the difference. Everything changes within them, everything. So if you feel like no, a person is not getting what they need, I promise you, you'll know, okay, I need to look into something else for this person because they're not gravitating to the therapy sessions, or, they seem to still be depressed, or, whatever the case may be. You'll know. You will definitely know that.
Yeah, and that's why it's just so important to have those people skills. You can, I keep talking about it, but it's just so important to be able to work with these people and really try to find out what is causing things, because
Yes.
that's why there's such a need for these professionals. I just got one more. This is Jernylan Fleming, member of our
Mhm.
band as well, and she asked, what was your number one motivation to get into this career?
My number one motivation is because I realized that even when I was in high school, a lot of times people would use the negative to try to deal with their problems. They never really talked about counseling, or that wasn't heard of, like people felt like if you get counseling, you're again crazy or something is like really, really wrong with you. So I knew that in our world today, people need an outlet. They need to not be prejudged for however they feel or whatever they have going on. So I think for me, from seeing it in high school, I just felt like, I want to go into the helping field because it's some people out here that's struggling. Like they need support, they need family, they need friends. And that's not always what it is. Like I get people to call all the time. They have absolutely nobody. They
Wow.
ask, they're on the line with me and they want to be my Facebook friend. And I'm like, I can't cross those lines. I'm sorry. But they get so into what I do and what I say. And it's like, I just need you every day to talk to me. And I'm like, I can't do that. That's boundaries that you have to set. But I promise you, it's just about being that support for a person. So I knew I needed to do that.
That's awesome. Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us today. Y'all got the rain that just left us. But before we go, why should these kids, no matter who they are, really consider getting into this field, because there's a huge need for them?
Because first off, because we need you guys. Um, the world needs you. Um, Being in this field is so rewarding. I promise. I could tell you guys so many stories, but I can't because we don't have time. But I promise you, you will love it. You will love knowing that you have helped somebody each and every day of this being in this field. So think about it. If you guys need to reach out, hey, you can. If you want to talk a little bit more about it, I'm open to that. I'll leave my number. I have a little work line number. You guys can reach out to me and I'll be happy to talk to you. So just let me know.
Love it. Well, again, Tedra Smith, all the way out there in Atlanta, Georgia, Jackson State alum, mental health therapist. We thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. If you guys need me again, I'm here.
All right. Talk to you soon, buddy.
All right. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye bye.